What is up, fellas? We are back for another UFC predictions video, this time for UFC Fight Night. Garry versus Prates. We have a really sick card this weekend, an actually good fight night, something to look forward to. With honestly a really high level main event. I'm actually stoked for this main event this weekend, fellas. Pretty good card, top to bottom as well. Not too shabby for a fight night, and it's got a crowd. Can't complain. Sorry this video is coming out late. I've been moving a little bit, so things are a little bit jumbled. And the video's coming out a little bit late. I'm sorry about that. If you're new, subscribe. Let's jump right in. Kicking us off at women's bantamweight, an absolute thrill ride. Chelsea Chandler taking on Jocelyn Edwards. I'll just look at the line here. I don't really care about this matchup too much. I'm going with Jocelyn Edwards. She's just decent. You know what I mean? Chelsea Chandler really just does not have a super deep bag as far as a skill set goes, and she doesn't really excel at anything. She's quite mid in general. And Jocelyn Edwards, on the other hand, was I calling her Jocelyn Edwards? Am I retarded? I might be stupid or schizophrenic. I'm unsure. Jocelyn Edwards has a good skill set. She's pretty well rounded. She's been working on the grappling a little bit. And it's been coming along for sure. Her grappling defense is also pretty solid. And as far as striking goes, I think she's just a much better striker than Chelsea Chandler. She's pretty athletic in the stand-up. She's not too shabby. I know her record's a little bit ugly, and people might be disillusioned by that. But I mean, Chelsea Chandler's record's 6-3. But you know, I mean, easily beat Tamaris Vidal. Lost to Aylin Perez, got out grappled. Aylin Perez is actually, I must concede, kind of decent. Lost to Nora Cornell in a fight that honestly could have went to Jocelyn Edwards. And Nora Cornell's pretty fucking good, dude. So I don't mind that loss too much because this fight was actually pretty competitive. Beat Pudilova and beat Ji-Yeon Kim. And Chelsea Chandler, on the other hand, I mean, Julia Stoliarenko's terrible. There was that meme of her running away from Norma Dumont and got beat up by Norma Dumont. Beat Jocelyn Nunez, which is an okay win, but after watching her get flatlined by Priscilla Cachoeira, not super impressive. And then lost to Yana Santos. A loss to Yana Santos is not confidence inspiring. I got to go with Jocelyn Edwards here, man. She's got a lot more UFC experience. I think she's better in the stand-up. I think if Chelsea Chandler tries to implement any type of grappling at all, which she's not any good at to begin with, I don't think she'll be able to do it. I think Jocelyn Edwards' takedown defense and grappling's been leveling up a little bit as well. And I think she's a better kickboxer. I think she'll win this fight by decision. Probably like, I could see a 30-27, to be honest. Moving up to featherweight, Timmy Kawamba. I thought his name was Timothy. Taking on Roberto Romero. This fight's tricky, man. I'm assuming these guys are evens. Yeah. This is kind of a tricky fight to get a read on because both of these guys, I feel like this is a good matchup, but this will be a good fight. Roberto Romero, UFC debut against David Onama, had a pretty decent performance, knocked down David Onama in that fight. It had a pretty competitive fight for 3 rounds, ended up getting beat up and gassing in the later half of that fight, but to my knowledge, he took that fight on pretty short notice. So you can't hate too much. And Timmy Kawamba, on the other hand, kind of had a similar scenario. Short notice debut up a weight class against Balaji Oki, had a really competitive fight with him. And Oki's another guy, kind of like Onama, who's kind of like a specimen. But this one was even up a weight class. He had a pretty good performance here. Then he dropped one to Lucas Almeida, which wasn't the best look in the world. And now it's kind of like the battle of like two. I don't know how to describe these guys. Mid unranked fighters. Like Roberto Romero, stylistically, kind of a dog. You know what I mean? He's not technically super sound. He has a good kicking game, I think. He's pretty durable, and he gets in your face. He's going to put the pressure on Timmy Kawamba for sure. But I'm not so sure about how technical he is in comparison. Timmy Kawamba, really good boxing, I think. He's got a great 1-2. He's very fast. That's one thing I noticed in both of his fights. You see that he's very fast. He's got decent timing. The only downside to Timmy Kawamba that I could see biting him in the ass here in this matchup really is I think he's a bit chinny. Granted, Lucas Almeida hits fucking hard, dude. If you're getting hit clean by Lucas Almeida, you're probably getting wobbled at least. This is a tricky one. I kind of want to pick Timmy Kawamba here because I just think he can find a nice shots skirting on the outside in the big cage against Roberto Romero crashing in. Like he had a good fight with David Onama because David Onama was they were both crashing into each other, and that's a perfect style for Roberto Romero to show his skill set. If Timmy Kawamba can kind of skirt on the outside, defend the low kicks, and just pop that lightning fast 1-2, I can kind of see him finding a good shot on Roberto Romero, and I can kind of see him winning most of the rounds in these matchups. The only downside is, like I said, Timmy Kwamba's chin's a little bit suspect. I don't know if I could trust it too much, but I think he's more technical with the hands. He can fight 3 rounds hard, and even though he did get beat up by Lucas Almeida in this matchup, he ended that fight on top of Lucas Almeida landing big shots. So he's got an okay little bit of grappling as well, Timmy Kawamba. And when I said Roberto Romero had kind of like the perfect style in David Onama, who was just going to crash into him and they were just going to have a car crash of a striking battle, Timmy Kawamba didn't really get that in his debut. He had a pretty technical back and forth with Balaji Oki. I think it was honestly a harder fight for him than an Onama and a Roberto Romero. I think I'm going to lean Timothy Kawamba here. I just like his striking a little bit. I like his boxing. I'm going to trust him to get out of the danger zone, circle out against Roberto Romero, and just pepper him with shots as he comes in. Because he will get the opportunity to land good shots on Roberto Romero if he comes crashing in. And if he can defend the low calf kicks, kind of get that initial burst of energy from Romero out, I think he can win this fight by decision. I think he can get 2 rounds here. Maybe there's a round where he gets caught on the chin, gets dropped maybe, and drops around. But I could see, I think he's the better minute winner here. And it's a pretty low level fight as far as like rankings go. So I'm going to go with Timmy Kawamba here. I think he might get a decision. Moving up to women's strawweight, Jacqueline Emerim taking on Polyana Viana. This is a pretty open and shut case for me. Jacqueline Emerim has a clear path to victory, and it's just take Polyana Viana down. Viana's grappling has been a pretty big weakness for her in her career. Emerim has really good jiu-jitsu. She's got all right takedowns. 2 + 2 is 4. She should take her down and submit her. There is the potential, though. Maybe Jacqueline Emerim isn't able to find that submission super fast and she chases a little too hard with the grappling. Maybe she gets tired a little bit and Polyana Viana picks her apart on the feet because Viana is nice on the feet. She's got good striking. Emerim does not. But I think more often than not, like 7 times out of 10, Jacqueline Emerim's able to get Polyana Viana down and submit her. It's just a weakness in Viana's game. Whenever she fights a decent grappler, she tends to get taken down and get submitted. It's happened in her last 2 fights. She didn't get submitted by Robertson, but she got TKO'd. She got dominated in the grappling and smashed. And then she got subbed by Yasmin Lucindo. Lost the tap of the Richie. Like, these aren't bad losses, but I think Jacqueline Emerim should win this fight. I don't know about, like, almost minus 400. I would put her at, like, minus 250 tops, to be honest, because there is a way she can lose this fight to Polyana Viana. It's not like Polyana Viana is outclassed everywhere. She's just wildly outclassed in the grappling. I think Emerim can get a submission win. Moving up to men's bantamweight, Cameron Simon taking on Malcolm Wellmaker. Fellas, I'm still a Cameron Simon believer. All right, I'm still a believer. I want to pick Cameron Simon so bad, dude, because I think he can win. What's the line? Damn near evens, but he is a dog. This is tricky. I'm gonna go with Cameron Simon. All right. I'm sure a lot of people. I'm sure everybody's picking Wellmaker. Not pretty even split actually. The reason I'm not super high on Malcolm Wellmaker is I think he's good. He's kind of old though, 31 for a prospect, or damn near 31. He's got good boxing. He's got good timing. He's got good reach. He's got good power. These are all good things. My thing is, undefeated guy, coming off of the Contender Series, big cage, big crowd, against a guy with some good UFC experience. It's just a recipe for, and it's like the undefeated fighters haven't been looking too hot. I can't lie. especially undefeated fighters coming off the Contender Series. And whereas I know Cameron Simon has lost 2 fights in a row, he's lost to 2 guys who I think would beat up Malcolm Wellmaker at this division. He lost to Peyton Talbot, got brutally beat up here, showed a lot of heart, a lot of good durability, which I think will help him here. 8 big shots and was able to keep going. Was even still trying to fight his way back after the ref fucking called off the fight. But it should have been called off. He was getting his ass whipped. And then lost to Christian Rodriguez. But, like, this is the Christian Rodriguez fighting an undefeated prospect. Like, Christian Rodriguez is like, oh, undefeated bantamweight prospect. I must miss weight and take this guy 0 in a close decision. And it was competitive. I mean, he had a pretty competitive decision against C-Rod. And C-Rod's good, dude. C-Rod's good, man. So, like, this is decent comp. Terrence Mitchell's a bum, but he finished him easy. Mana Martinez beat up on him, but he's a bum. Steven Kozlow, but these are guys, like, he's finishing these guys, except for Mana Martinez, which is not great, to be honest, but he's also only 24, Cameron Simon. I trust in this kid to be making gains to his game from fight to fight, especially now that he's realized he has some deficiencies. And he's at a good gym. I think he can level up. And I think he has a decent style to beat Malcolm Wellmaker over 3 rounds. I think Malcolm Wellmaker's best chance to win this fight is early with a good shot on Cameron Simon with good timing, which he can do, which is why he's the slight favorite, obviously. He's got better boxing than Cameron Simon, I would say, for sure. Probably better power as well. But I like Cameron Simon's kicks. I think Cameron Simon can mix it up in the grappling. I think he has the ability to do so. And Simon's just kind of a fucking dog, dude. Like, he can push a hard 3 rounds. Like, this Christian Rodriguez fight, they were both pretty gassed. They were just fucking going at it. I'm just going to slightly lean Cameron Simon. I don't know. Am I a bit biased here? Yes, I will concede. Because I like Cameron Simon. Yeah, I think I trust in the UFC experience against pretty decent level comp, at least compared to Malcolm Wellmaker, who is making his debut here. Could he get the boxing going, Wellmaker? Land good shots? Maybe Cameron Simon's chin's not quite the same after the Talbot fight. Sure, I see that for sure. But I think it might be a little bit of recency bias. Because I think Cameron Simon could still be decent in this division. Nothing spectacular, but I think he's okay. I think he can win this fight by putting a pace on Malcolm Wellmaker, landing kicks, mixing it up, kind of stifling that boxing by shooting a takedown or 2. I think he can get a decision. In a pretty competitive fight as an underdog. But we'll see. Keeping it at bantamweight, Damon Blackshear taking on Alatong Haley. Guys, I'm going with Damon Blackshear. Yeah, he's a big favorite. I expected him to be. This is a pretty all-right matchup for him. Alatong Haley, when you break him down stylistically, is just a guy who's all right at everything. Like, he's not super terrible at grappling. He's not bad at striking. He can go 3 rounds hard. Like, he's solid, you know what I mean? But he doesn't excel at anything. And he's not like one of these guys who's solid at everything at a really high level. Like, he's solid at everything at kind of like a mid-level. He's all right, but he should lose this fight to Damon Blackshear. Damon Blackshear is a guy, really talented grappler, good takedowns, good scrambles, great submissions. On the feet, he's been improving a little bit, coming off of 2 wins in a row. Really active, too, which I like. Beat Cody Stamann, hurt him bad on the feet and submitted him. And then Cody Gibson. Cody Gibson came out in, like, the best performance of his career, honestly. He was coming out looking hot. But he kept trying to force the grappling on Blackshear, which was foolish because Blackshear is a much better submission artist than Cody Gibson. And he easily latched up a Kimura, I believe, in the 2nd round. I just think Damon Blackshear can get Alatong Haley to the ground and submit him. I think on the feet it could be competitive, but Alatong Haley's not a guy who forces big shots really that much. He's pretty patient. He's pretty reserved. Tries to pick his moment, which I don't think helps him. I think Damon Blackshear is a guy you kind of got to start fast, start out hot against, kind of like Cody Gibson was. He was having success doing that, and Montel Jackson started out hot and knocked him out cold. I think this is Damon Blackshear's fight to win. I don't think he should lose this matchup. I think he could hurt Alatong Haley on the feet because his Muay Thai's been looking a little bit better. And in kind of these slower paced fights where the guy doesn't start out super hot, I think it gives Damon Blackshear that little moment he needs to kind of ease into the fight. I could see him hurting Alatong Haley on the feet, and then lashing up a sub similar to how he did Cody Stamann, or I could see him just getting a takedown and submitting Alatong Haley. But I think all roads lead to submission here. for Damon Blackshear. Moving up to men's featherweight, Chris Gutierrez taking on John Castaneda. I did a breakdown for this fight when it was originally made on short notice. I'm just gonna stick to what I initially thought. I'm gonna go with Chris Gutierrez here. Dead evens, huh? Yeah, I can see it. I just think a lot of this fight's gonna be taking place on the feet, and Chris Gutierrez is a hard guy to outstrike for 3 rounds technically. Like John Castaneda, he's got a good style. He's got good volume at times, but sometimes he's a little bit lackadaisical. He's I just think Chris Gutierrez, if we're having a technical kickboxing fight for like the majority of the fight, he's a motherfucker to really get the better of because he's very technical. He's got a great low kick game. He picks his shots well. He's got good timing. He's got good eyes. He's a hard guy to hit. I think John Castaneda would be best served to try and mix up wrestling, which could have some success. But with the low kicks of Gutierrez and how he maintains range, I think he might shoot from pretty far out. And it might give Chris Gutierrez the opportunity to get his hips in, get a sprawl. I think I'm good. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with Chris Gutierrez. I think he's more technical on the feet. I think he's fought better comp, in my opinion. He went 5 rounds with Song Yadong. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm going with Chris Gutierrez. I think he puts on just a typical Chris Gutierrez performance. Keeping the range, maintaining distance, landing shots as he needs to, crippling Castaneda with the low kicks most likely, and just being the better kickboxer. I think he'll be able to defend any grappling that John Castaneda attempts. I think he'll win a 3-round decision. I could see him dropping around, though. Maybe winning like a 29-28. Moving up to lightweight, Evan Elder taking on Gage Young. I'm going with Evan Elder. This one, I don't even really need to break down that much. I just think this is a short notice fight for Gage Young. And I think this is a tough one to get on short notice. Evan Elder's just outright good. He's pretty good everywhere. And Gage Young's just really young, no pun intended. And it's a really short notice. Evan Elder's a hard guy to beat in general, let alone in your UFC debut, calling up on short notice, big crowd. Evan Elder's good, dude. He's got some decent UFC experience, and he's a young guy himself. I say too much, bro. I gotta stop saying that. I think Evan Elder can win this fight pretty much any which way. I think Evan Elder decision is probably what I'm gonna go with. Just showing him levels over 3 rounds. Maybe Gage Young gasses a little bit because this fight is on short notice. I'm assuming everybody's picking. Yeah, everybody's picking Evan Elder. Majority decision as well. Yeah, I kind of agree. I could kind of see I could see Evan Elder getting it done any which way, but I most likely I feel like Evan Elder just shows him levels here over 3 rounds and wins a decision. I could see like a 30-27. Maybe 29-28 Gage Young comes out hot in the first round, but I just think Evan Elder's a little bit he's too much too soon, I think. In my opinion. Moving up to flyweight, Matt Schnell taking on Jimmy Flick. Holy shit. The battle of ass. Minus 300 Matt Schnell in this economy, huh? Okay. I get it, though. I do get it. Matt Schnell has no chin, guys. We know this. Matt Schnell is your favorite knocked out artist. You know what I mean? He's the king of getting knocked the fuck out in brutal fashion. Jimmy Flick's just kind of, he's submission or bust, really, and he's just kind of meh. You know, his losses aren't too bad in his last 5. His wins are decent as well. But Matt Schnell, dude, like if this guy had a chin, he'd actually be like pretty good. Like he's got good striking. He's pretty technical. His submission game's not too bad. It's just he's chinny as fuck. And sometimes his fight IQ is a little bit like this fight against Cody Durden, he was looking damn good against Cody Durden, and then he stuffed his head into a choke and got submitted. Like he could do that here against Jimmy Flick. But I think this is probably going to take place on the feet. I don't think Jimmy Flick's going to be able to implement the grappling that much on Matt Schnell unless Matt Schnell lets him and does something insanely stupid, which he could do, which is why I think this line's insane. I don't like this line. Matt Schnell's too volatile, but I do think he wins. I think he's way better on the feet. I think he's way more technical on the feet. I think he's got good power on the feet. I don't think Jimmy Flick hurts him on the feet. I might regret saying that. I'm going to go with Matt Schnell. I think he TKOs Jimmy Flick. What are the people thinking? Matt Schnell, uh, pretty even split. More people think decision, but I think he can chin Jimmy Flick. I think he can hurt Jimmy Flick on the feet for sure. Yeah, I'm going with Matt Schnell. I said again, bro. I gotta stop it. Yeah, I think he gets a TKO win here. I think he's just too technical on the feet. I know he has no chin. I know he might stick his head in a submission, but I just think skill set wise, he's actually good if he, you know, doesn't get hit by a gust of wind clean on the chin or something incredibly insane like that. I'm going with Matt Schnell. Moving up to middleweights, Ikram Aliskerov taking on Andre Muniz. I'm going with Ikram Aliskerov. Andre Muniz is not bad, but he's just not great. What's the line? Holy smokes. Yeah, that's a bit much for me. Ikram Aliskerov is a bit chinny, in my opinion. But I do think he wins here. He's got a real aggressive style of striking. He's got good power, decent stand up. He's got a good sambo base as well. Andre Muniz basically wins most of his fights by getting the submission, which I'm not sure he's going to be able to do. I don't think he's going to be able to get Aliskerov to the mat. Not with that sambo base, man. He's just Aliskerov's got solid grappling. I think it's going to be really hard to do, to get him to the mat. If he does, he submit him? Yeah, sure. I think that's going to be really hard. And on the feet, I favor Aliskerov's power and his striking over Muniz. Now, like I said, Aliskerov can be a little bit chinny, I feel like, because Robert Whittaker doesn't knock a lot of guys out. And the fact that he chinned Aliskerov pretty easily, I'm not super confident in the durability. And that's not shade at Whittaker. It's just normally doesn't knock guys out that easy. You know what I mean? But Aliskerov does just I just think he's going to smash Andre Muniz. Like, I think he's just going to get on him from the start, land big shots, get Muniz's respect early. Muniz might shoot a couple of bad takedowns, but it's hard to shoot takedowns off of your back foot. And I would suspect that he would be on the back foot for most of this contest once Aliskerov gets going. I think he can land big shots on the feet of Aliskerov. I think he can hurt Andre Muniz. I mean, if you're getting TKO by Paul Craig, I could see Aliskerov hurting you on the feet and coming down to the ground and finishing you. Kind of similarly, getting a TKO to ground and pound. Yeah, yeah, people think that too. Um, I don't like being on the side of the people though, because a lot of the times they're fucking wrong. But I do think Aliskerov can get a TKO over Andre Muniz. I think he's better on the feet. I think his sambo base and his grappling will stifle the takedown attempts of Andre Muniz, leading to mostly a stand-up contest, which I would favor Ikram in. The only question mark I have with him is his durability. But I trust him. Moving up to 170, Randy Brown taking on Nicholas Dalby. Guys, I'm going with Randy Brown. Nicholas Dalby is old, almost 41. And Randy Brown's a guy, I just don't think he gets fraud checked by Nicholas Dalby. Nicholas Dalby is good, dude. He can push. He's a tough guy. He's got a pretty well-rounded skill set, and he can push a pace like no one. But I don't think Randy Brown's the type of guy who's going to gas out over 3 rounds. I don't think he's going to rush a finish like a guy like a Bonfim. And he's a sniper, man. He's got really good timing. He's got really good hands. His takedown defense, I think, is better than some of the guys Dalby's fought. I just like him here. He's got a big reach advantage as well. 78 inches of reach at welterweight's pretty crazy. Like, this fight with Brian Battle, like, I feel like he honestly should have won this fight. As somebody who picked Brian Battle, I think Randy Brown honestly probably should have won this fight because Brian Battle couldn't take him down. Like, Brian Battle was trying to get Randy Brown to the mat and he couldn't get him there. I don't think Nicholas Dalby will so much. Then, good win over Zaleski dos Santos. Tough guy. Kind of like a Nicholas Dalby type, but not really. Zaleski's much more dangerous, I think, in the stand-up in the submission game than Dalby, but he's one of these older guys who fraud checks a lot of shit fighters. Or not shit fighters, but he fraud checks a lot of young up-and-coming guys who think they're going to get like an easy win, and then they're like, oh shit, shit ain't sweet. He's kind of a similar guy to that. This is why I think he beats Nicholas Dalby. The shot he landed on Muslim Salikov was just beautiful. Insane combination with the hands, and that's what makes Randy Brown so dangerous in this matchup. I know Dalby's durable, but he is almost 41 years old. He's operating a big reach advantage, and he is a hittable guy. And Randy Brown has good timing. He's got good eyes. He sees these openings, and I think he'll hurt Dalby on the feet. honestly think he could finish Dalby. I think he could hurt Dalby and finish him with ground and pound. I really do. I don't think he'll flatline chin Dalby because Dalby's just a guy with good recoverability. Like you can hurt him, but he might go down, but his recoverability is insane. I think it's got something to do with his insane cardio. But I can see Randy Brown getting a TKO to like ground and pound, hurting him, following him down, landing big follow up shots. Maybe ref calls it off. That's kind of how I see this one going. I just think he's too good on the feet. I think he's too technical. I think he's too fast. And I don't see him really gassing out. I don't see Dalby just crushing him like he does a lot of these other guys in like the later rounds. I think Randy Brown gets this one done. I think you can probably get a finish here in like round 2 or 3 over Nicholas Dalby. A lot of people think decision. I'm a part of the 8.8%. I actually think you could get a TKO here over an aging Nicholas Dalby. Because another thing with Nicholas Dalby, I'll bring it back up. Like, yeah, he's got good durability, good cardio, but this guy takes a lot of damage in a lot of these fights. Like, he takes damage early. And he's getting up there, man. Moving up to 185. Holy shit, what a meme. Michel Pereira taking on Abus Magomedov. What a meme fight this is. Okay. This is a tricky one. Kind of, actually. You would think this is a tricky one, actually. I feel like I have a nuanced take here. Both of these guys are gassers. Both of these guys gas out pretty heavily. So, you know, do with that what you will. This is a 3-round fight. I think I'm going to go with Michel Pereira. I know his last performance was terrible. It was disgusting. It was horrific. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen. And opposite Magomedov's coming off of a pretty impressive win where he fought some adversity and got to finish late. So you think, oh, well, he's not going to gas out. He was able to finish Bruno Ferreira late. My reason I want to pick Michel Pereira is, first off, I think he's got a power advantage, even though Abus Magomedov is powerful. I think he's got a durability advantage. That one I'm pretty confident in because I've seen Abus Magomedov hurt a lot. Got hurt a lot by Bruno Ferreira. He got dropped by Strickland. Like, he's taken some damage too. He's taken some damage against Borralho. Took some damage against Warley Alves as well, which I don't think is a great look. I think he's got a durability advantage. I think he's got a power advantage. And for the first 5 minutes, I think Michel Pereira is the more dangerous guy. And in the battle of the gassers, I think who has the best first round probably wins the fight. Because this guy ain't Fluffy Hernandez. He ain't pushing a pace in 2 and 3. If he gets the chance to just kind of stand around and do nothing, he might just do that. And I also think this line is a little bit of an overcorrection, in my opinion. From like a betting perspective, if erase this fight, pretend this fight never happened, he's minus 300 at least over Abus. I think it's just a little bit of recency bias, like a "what have you done for me lately" type beat. Granted, I know this performance was shit, but I think Michel Pereira has the intangibles to beat an Abus Magomedov. I don't think Abus Magomedov is going to be able to find takedowns on him. Not like he was able to find Bruno Ferreira, at least not early. And I think if he wants to try that early, he's going to be met with some serious resistance by a guy who I feel like is more powerful, more explosive early, with better durability. And sometimes, I want to mention this, sometimes Michel Pereira just shows up with cardio, which is weird. Sometimes he shows up with 3-round cardio and sometimes he doesn't. It's very strange, and I can't ever get a read on this guy because of that exact reason. Like, if he shows up with, 3-round cardio, he's going to beat up Abus Magomedov. I guarantee it. I'm going with Michel Pereira. I think he's got KO upside. I don't think Abus is very durable, and I think he's a little bit more technical on the feet. I also think Abus has some striking defense deficits as well that could be exposed early. And I feel like that's the best time to expose Abus Magomedov. I feel like he needs to eat a couple before he's really dialed into a fight. The thing is, you don't want to eat a couple early from Michel Pereira because he will finish you and hurt you. I'm going with Michel Pereira. I think he wins this fight by TKO. I think he bounces back. I think he should be motivated after this performance to get that cardio in check, come in shape, and get himself a big win here in front of a nice big crowd. Moving up to featherweight, Giga Chikadze taking on David Onama. What's this line? Disgusting. Disgusting. Guys, I have a take here. Don't hate me for it, but I don't think David Onama is very good. I don't. Like, I just think he's a bit of a Nimrod. You know what I'm saying? Like David Onama, when I think of this fight and like the stylistic component of this matchup, I think David Onama has a clear path to win. I think he should grapple Giga Chikadze. I think if he gets down Giga, I think he can beat him up on the mat easily. My thing is David Onama is kind of a Nimrod, and I don't trust him to do that at all. Like if you could guarantee me that he would set up some shots on the feet, then go for the grappling where Giga's at his weakest and get him down, because David Onama is a good grappler. He's actually kind of underrated in the grappling. And I feel like Giga Chikadze's grappling, he's got a hole there still. I just don't trust David Onama to exploit that. And I think on the feet, David Onama crashes in a little bit too much. Sometimes defensively, he's not very responsible. And I know he's not really a guy who gets KO'd, David Onama, but fuck me if he's not chinny as hell, dude. Every guy he fights seems to hurt him on the feet. Like he got dropped by Roberto Romero making a short notice debut, almost finished. I hate that. Jonathan Pierce has no knockout power, so we weren't in really any danger there. Gabriel Santos had him in trouble, but he landed a good shot. That's what David Onama has on the feet. He's got really good power. He's a specimen. He's very athletic, very powerful, very explosive. Lost to Nate Landwehr. Had Nate Landwehr hurt, choked the finish, and then started getting his ass whipped, emoted on. And it's like, if you can't handle Nate Landwehr, why are you minus 200 over Giga Chikadze? You know what I mean? Like Garrett Armfield, this is what I'm talking about. Subbing Garrett Armfield with an arm triangle, like that's a good win. But I just don't trust him to implement what he's best at here, or at least what he has an advantage at. I think he's gonna go out here and strike with Giga, and I think he's giving him the best chance to win Giga. Because I mean, this guy's been kickboxing for fucking eons. This guy's old. He's 36. This guy's been kickboxing forever. And the thing about Giga is, I feel like if David Onama lands clean, he could maybe hurt him. But Giga's a guy, like, despite his weird pea head appearance, he's tough, dude. Like, this guy eats a good shot. Like Arnold Allen, he was eating good shots just fine. I mean, the damage he ate from Calvin Kattar without ever going down was absolutely insane. Like, he's a durable fucking guy, man. And I feel like David Onama, at this point in his career, is a lot more attuned to a guy like a Caceres, a Barbosa, uh, maybe a Cub Swanson. Like, I think he's closer to this level here of opponent than the version of Kattar that Giga fought, or Arnold Allen, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you have to be, like, borderline top 5 to beat up on Giga Chikadze. Unless Giga's taken a downward step, but I don't think he did. Like, he competed pretty well against Arnold Allen. You know what I mean? Like, this is a enormous step down in competition. And he's a big underdog. Like, I just want to pick Giga off of principle. They have the same reach. I just don't trust David Onama. A lot of people are picking Chikadze, though. He seems to be the people's underdog here, which I don't like. I just think Giga can find a shot that hurts Onama. If Roberto Romero's finding a shot to drop Onama, why can't Giga? You know what I mean? Set up, work the body kick, set him up, go high, dead. He's dead. You know what I mean? I can see that happening because David Onama, defensively, he's just a little bit silly sometimes, but he is a freak. He is good. I just don't think he should be this big of a favorite here, honestly. I think he has a clear path to victory if he grapples, but I don't trust him to do it. I think this is going to be a stand-up affair mostly, and in that, I favor Giga Chikadze. Unless Giga looks uber washed, which I don't think he's going to because he didn't look washed here. I'm going to go with Giga Chikadze. I think he probably wins a decision here. Onama's a hard guy to finish, but he is an easy guy to hurt on the feet. And moments like that will give Giga Chikadze rounds, most likely, in my opinion. I think he can win like 29-28. Get back in the win column. God, my voice cracked. Moving up to 205, Anthony Smith taking on Ming Yang Zhang. Guys, I'm going with Ming Yang Zhang. I think he's going to KO Anthony Smith because Anthony Smith is bad now. He's very bad now. Like, I just don't know. I don't think his heart's in it anymore. I mean, dude, 97% of people are picking Zhang to KO him dead. That's crazy. 97% out of the 94%. But yeah, it's just... Outside of Ming Yang Zhang sticking his head in a guillotine like a Vitor Petrino and being an idiot, I just see him just beating up Anthony Smith on the feet. Ming Yang Zhang, good power, very dangerous, very fast. Anthony Smith is very slow now. He doesn't take a shot the same. Checked out pretty emotionally, I think, from this. Um, yeah, I just outside of something wacky and insane, I don't see Anthony Smith winning this fight over Ming Yang Zhang. He would need to grapple. He would absolutely need to grapple. He's like Anthony Smith's got okay boxing, or he had okay boxing, but he shouldn't entertain that. He should force the grappling where I think he can actually win this fight, but I don't think he will. I think he'll go out there and strike, and I think he'll get knocked out by Ming Yang Zhang. Moving up to the main event at 170, Ian Machado Garry taking on Carlos Prates. This is a tricky one, guys. This is a tricky one to break down, and I've gone back and forth in my head because I think both of these guys have very good arguments to win this fight, and that's what makes this such a good main event here. Shout out Ian Garry for taking this fight on such short notice as well. He's done that twice now. You got to respect the guy for that, seriously. Originally, I think I was going to pick Ian Garry. I was. Just because he's got much more UFC experience. He's way more proven, basically, is why I wanted to pick Ian Garry. Like, when you look at his UFC run, I mean, gave Shavkat Rakhmonov hell. Beat MVP, who's hard to beat. Beat Jeff Neal. Beat Neil Magny. Only got a KO D-Rod. And you're looking at, like, he's been in the UFC for a long time, man. And look at this activity over 2 years. All these guys are good fighters over 2 years. Carlos Prates is far more unproven in the UFC. Beat a very bad version of Neil Magny. Beat Wash Li Jingliang coming off of like a 2-year layoff and a spinal surgery. Beat Charles Radke. I think Radke's okay, but I mean, he's not any of these guys up here. You know what I mean? Beat Trevin Giles, but was getting beat up on by Trevin Giles in the boxing. Like the Carlos Prates experience in the UFC is not the greatest here. So I can see why people are picking Ian Garry, and this is why I was going to pick Ian Garry. Also, Ian Garry can mix it up too. He's been grappling a little bit. He's been showing some improvements to that. But I watched more tape. I watched a lot more of Carlos Prates' older fights. Uh a couple of his ones from ONE FC. And there's some things I want to talk about stylistically, because you could say Ian Garry can mix it up. He's got good striking. He's been leveling up the grappling. He can mix it up. He's fought much better comp. He should win. I understand the argument, and I think it's a valid one. But I think in the stand-up, I think Prates is just much better. I said the same thing. I thought MVP would be Ian Garry because I didn't think Ian Garry had anything for MVP on the feet, and I was right. He had nothing for MVP on the feet. But he was able to get some certain grappling positions and kind of just get some control time and win that decision. I don't think that is a replicable performance here against Carlos Prates, because I think Carlos Prates is actually much better with the anti-grappling than an MVP. Carlos Prates has a pretty good guard. He's pretty quick to see shots coming from guys who I think are better pure wrestlers than Ian Garry. I've seen it. You haven't seen it in the UFC, but if you go dig through some of his regional fights, you can see this for sure. It's not like he's a great anti-wrestler, but like if you're digging through his old regional fights and you're seeing like, okay, he's got like a little bit of a guard game. He's got a little bit of a takedown defense. He can meet the guy's shot from fights that were like 10 fights ago. You can only imagine now, training with the Fighting Nerds team, headed by Kyle Borjalho, that little bit of a offensive guard, a little bit of takedown defense has been leveled up substantially. I think he's going to be a hard guy to get down, at least early. And I've seen Carlos Prates go 3 rounds hard too. So I don't know if cardio is necessarily the biggest thing here. I think the 5 rounds definitely favors Ian Garry, right? But I've seen Carlos Prates go hard 3 rounds at least. Ugh, this is such a tricky one, dude. I also love this reach advantage for Prates because he's got such a nice straight punch on him, man. This is a tricky one. I know Prates isn't proven. This will be the fight that proves it, right? That he's really down that level. God, this is a hard one for me to pick. I'm gonna go with Prates, I think, because just the stand-up stylistics, I think he can find a shot on Ian Garry. Ian Garry is a hittable guy. And the thing is, you don't want to get hit by Carlos Prates at all. I think the straight punches of Carlos Prates with the reach advantage are going to be a motherfucker for Ian Garry to deal with. I think in the pocket, in the clinch exchanges, I think Prates is better. I don't think Ian Gary's gonna have a super easy time grappling Carlos Prates. And the thing is, even if he does get in good position on Prates in the grappling, like we've seen this guy flub how many rear naked chokes, Ian Garry? I don't trust him to finish if he gets a good position either. Ugh. Like we've seen Ian Garry hurt bad too. Um, Song Kanan hurt him really bad, but these are early fights, you know what I mean? I forget the guy's name off the top of my head, but the guy with diabetes, you know who I'm talking about, had Ian Garry hurt bad. Ian Garry got caught with some big shots from Rachmanov. Ian Garry was getting caught by MVP. Didn't really get caught by Jeff Neal, but it was kind of a very hesitant performance from Ian Garry against Jeff Neal, which I understand. Majority of people are picking Garry, huh? Yeah, I mean he is a slight favorite. I understand, but I'm gonna go with Carlos Prates here. I think his stand-up style is actually very applicable to Ian Garry's. He's got the good tools to beat an Ian Garry on the feet. And what Ian Garry does not have is what I think you need to beat Carlos Prates. Because I draw attention to this Trevin Giles fight. Trevin Giles has really good boxing fundamentals. He's got good speed. He's got good straight punches, Trevin Giles. That is how you offset a Carlos Prates on the feet. Ian Garry does not really have that. And if he wants to implement that, he's going to have a hard time with this reach disadvantage here. And Carlos Prates can finish you any which way. He can finish you with a kick, with a knee, with a punch. And I think largely this is going to be Ian Garry winning this fight a lot of the time, winning the minutes. But I think there will be a moment for Carlos Prates. And my thing is, if Carlos Prates has a moment, I feel like he gets a finish. Because I feel like Prates is more dangerous on the feet than most people Ian Garry's fought. Like, I think Carlos Prates is more dangerous on the feet than Rachmanov. I don't think that's crazy to say. I don't know if he's not better on the feet than MVP. MVP's a hard guy on the feet. Nobody can really figure this guy out on the feet. But he doesn't have that death touch quite like Carlos Prates does. Jeff Neal, small guy, good range though, but he also sometimes just sits a little bit too much. He lets fights get away from him. Neil Magny, D-Rod. I just have this feeling Carlos Prates finds a big shot and hurts Ian Garry, and I could see him swarming him and getting a finish. I actually think Carlos Prates wins this fight by TKO, especially because Ian Garry took this fight on short-ish notice. Yeah, I'm going with Prates. I don't know. I think he's live in the first 3 rounds to get a finish. Now, if this fight gets into round 4 and round 5, I expect Ian Garry to completely take over. But there's no guarantee that that happens. I'm going to go with Prates. I'm going to go against my initial reaction that Ian Garry should win this fight. I think Carlos Prates can actually get the win here. I'm going to go with Prates by TKO. I think the fighting nerds stay undefeated, or at least the main fighting nerds stay undefeated. But we'll see. I'm really excited for this card. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate it a ton. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time. See ya.